We have some massive trade updates to discuss for the Phoenix Suns as Brian Gregory had his inaugural press conference for the Suns yesterday, and there were some bombshells dropped regarding Bradley Beal as well as Kevin Durant and the trade plans for the Phoenix Suns as we enter this offseason, because we know this is a turning point, this is an inflection point for the Phoenix Suns this offseason in terms of making the right moves, making the right calls. And while Gregory tried to kind of dance around some of the questions, the actual meat of his comments revealed a ton about the Suns' trade plans heading into the offseason. So we're diving into what he had to say, what reports are coming out now following this press conference, and what we can expect from the Phoenix Suns entering this off season. So lots of stuff to dive into, but folks, I'll say it again, right? You guys have been crushing it, checking out the vids, and if you're part of the over 67% of our viewers that are watching the vids, getting the daily news updates out here on Suns Digest and want to stay up to date with everything going forward for this team, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, because we're delivering daily, sometimes twice a day content, multiple times a day out here on Suns Digest, so we don't want you to miss a single thing. But let's dive into it, because of course, this is a well-anticipated day out there for the Phoenix Suns fans, as Brian Gregory, who got a little bit of heat when he was anointed GM by Matt Ishbia because of the previous relationship. There was a hint of, hey, was it nepotism, was it a relationship and stuff? Did he really deserve the GM role? Well, Brian Gregory finally had a chance to speak out, to have a press conference and give his feel and set his mark out there on Phoenix Suns fans in terms of giving that first impression, on the fan base. And frankly, he did come off like I've come out and said, even though I wasn't ideally I was looking forward to maybe a Bob Myers or those big names coming in. We're going to give Brian Gregory a shot. We're going to give him a chance to see what he's worth, see what moves he makes, how he handles all these crazy situations, and just be mindful of the relationship and the potential for him just being a puppet for Matt Ishbia and doing all these things moving forward. But Gregory had, some Suns fans are like, oh, he's not super charismatic, not a great speaker and all that. I thought he said some interesting stuff, and it didn't dissuade me in terms of, his future going forward. And we'll take a look at some of the comments he had to make, specifically some of the major trade updates. Essentially, he came out and said, I never talk regarding players, contracts, movement, anything like that. I will tell you this, I have a very good relationship with both of those guys, specifically referring to, of course, Bradley Beal as well as Kevin Durant, the two star players out there on the Phoenix Suns. I mean, some Suns fans would argue Bradley Beal is no longer in that category, but two guys that have certainly been brought up in terms of transactions, trade discussions, and all that stuff by the fan base, by the organization, all this stuff over the past year or so. So that is, his initial point, but then he let some stuff come out, essentially saying that Kevin gave me a nice hug in the weight room the other night, and when when the thing came across Twitter, had a great dinner with Bradley Beal last Thursday, I think it was, and we talked a little bit about the summer and plans and different things along those lines. So that's a direct quote, and he had a lot. I mean, it was a half-hour press conference and things like that, but you listen to the whole thing, you listen to things that come out, and you get the real feeling, you get the real update, and he directly said, hey, there might be moves coming, there might be some transactions, there might be some stuff going on, but he was very adamant in his tone, in how he was discussing things, because, again, had further comments going on saying, and my main focus right now, to be honest with you, is finding the right head coach for those guys and getting prepared for the draft. That's where my mind is at 20 hours of the 24 hours every day. So, regarding those guys, specifically in the context of what he was going on, he was stating, hey, his plan is to figure out finding a head coach, finding one of these, player managers that will be able to coach Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. The direct reading of his contents, they're one thing, right? Like, hey, I'm not going to talk about this, but I have a great relationship, had a great dinner, things are moving forward, we're moving in the right direction with all of this type of stuff. But basically, he directly came out and said, his plans right now, because we know all eyes are on the Phoenix Suns coaching search and who's going to be out here in the mix. We've been looking at Ishbia, we've been looking at Gregory, seeing what decisions are going to be made. But the head coach is going to be selected to be able to coach both Kevin Durant as well as Bradley Beal out here in this mix. And I know specifically regards to Bradley Beal, I had, some comments or reports made by Bobby Marks earlier in the offseason. People are bringing up, hey, maybe they just buy out Bradley Beal. They find a different way to trade him. There's going to be movement on Bradley Beal's contract. They just aren't going to keep him out here on the Phoenix Suns moving forward to the future. And that's what a lot of Suns fans, I see in our comment section, say, hey, get off of Bradley Beal. Find a way to get off of Bradley Beal. That's the direction. That's what the team needs to do. And moving in that front. But essentially, Gregory is shutting all that down out here in his press conference, say, hey, not only do I have a great relationship with those guys, we've had those discussions, we have all these things coming out, but we are also going to be hiring a coach to be able to coach those two players. So that's, the Bradley Beal sweepstakes, and on the Kevin Durant front, because I've been outspoken. I think the Rockets are going to be the destination for Phoenix to trade with for Kevin Durant. I don't think Durant wants to be here. We've heard all these reports, Shams, everyone talking about mutual interest, in terms of a KD trade happening. We're in the posturing phase where these public negotiations are going to go on. This could be Brian Gregory playing some 4D chess out there on the public market and stuff. So, we'll read into that as it is, but I'm going to believe Kevin Durant will be a Rocket or a Minnesota Timberwolves, depending on how that series goes against, Steph Curry-less Golden State Warriors out there in the second round. I mean, if they aren't able to get past them, I could see them being willing to fork up a lot of assets in order to get KD. But in terms of the latest updates, Gregory's coming out saying that those guys are beyond this roster. And frankly, just looking at the salary cap situation, that feels like it's a tough spot for the Suns to remain in. I mean, on top of the, millions, like $50 million plus you're owing to D-Book, to Bradley Beal, to Kevin Durant, over the next couple of seasons at least, or at least next season at least, and then, moving forward into the future. Then you also have Grayson Allen, you have Royce O'Neal, you have Cody Martin, all locked in on these contracts that are pretty substantial, for role players out there on the team. Moving forward, there's not a lot of flexibility. Unless you're trading one of those top guys, you're buying out one of these top guys. I mean, there's not a lot of flexibility for this team moving forward. And that's a really, really tough spot to be in. And even though there's a ton of talent out there on this team, don't get me wrong, right? I bring up KD stats pretty well all these videos. We know how good he is. 27 points, 6 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.2 blocks, 43% from the three-point line, over 50% out there on corner threes. Yes, he's 36 years old, but he is Kevin Durant. We've seen what LeBron's doing at age 40. KD still has a lot of good basketball left in him, but the guy that I know is going to frustrate most Suns fans following this is Bradley Beal, because he just hasn't been able to do a ton right this season. He has moments, and I think some of the positives from his season last year might get overlooked, but he's dealing with injuries all the time. He's 31 himself, but only 17 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists for him, on this team last season. And just one of the most frustrating players, especially, forget the contract size, but just in terms of what he's capable of doing, what, if he's healthy and stuff, but things have just not come together for Bradley Beal in the Suns' tenure, and we see flashes. There are moments of this Phoenix Suns team where you see just how high-powered the offensive D-Book of Kevin Durant to Bradley Beal. If this roster was a bit more well-balanced with those three guys, or, of course, you switch one of those guys out for someone that's at a different position or plays a different style and, complements these pieces a little bit more, greatly, this team has that level of upside. They have that thing there. And that's why, with this massive update we've gotten from Brian Gregory, there's a lot of frustrated Suns fans in terms of the direction, in terms of what's going forward for this team. I mean, that didn't even make the play-in tournament. The Dallas Mavericks sabotaged themselves. They shot themselves in the foot. They completely hobbled their way to that season. They still couldn't catch the Mavericks. It's like, what's going on here? There needs to be changes. There needs to be something happening. And I'm not saying it has to be one of those star players, but Brian Gregory has a lot on his plate to figure out for the Suns team, and we'll see what he's able to do. But one thing's for sure, we'll keep you updated on all the latest news. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.